Welcome back to another episode of Can of Worms, where I get to talk about lame stuff that's happening in the games industry. Hooray. I'm here today with Cedric,
Hey, how's it cracking?
Brian,
What's up?
and Chris. Thanks, Chris.
Chris is dead.
Well,
Chris is dead.
God damn
I
it.
was going to say earlier,
like,
so maybe he's
no, my headset was just muted. I'm over here like, let's not make noise on the podcast. Oh, I'm going to be quiet. But
That's
anyways,
awesome.
hi guys. How was everything?
I was going to say you were like almost disappointingly quiet in the last video, but maybe you weren't. I don't know.
I know. I mean, I might have been talking like during some lulls, and I don't know. We'll never know.
You're like, okay, well, maybe not
Be a
again,
mystery.
asshole.
Whoops.
So,
anyways,
what we're going to talk about today is a little bit of Blizzard nonsense that's been happening every year at this time on the dot. Tax season's coming up. Large companies are looking to save what money they can and create a little bit of extra revenue in the end of the fiscal year. And this is the third year in a row that Blizzard has laid off staff, presumably to get a little bit more money at the end of the year or whatever the hell it is. I'm not honestly as informed in the business aspect of things as possible, but so between King, Activision Blizzard, and pretty much that whole conglomerate, there was just under 2% of the company that was cut. It resulted in just under 200 employees. I'm seeing numbers between 190 and 120, so I don't know what the actual
That's a
number
lot.
is.
I thought it was only 50.
Well, it started as 50, and as things kind of developed, the 50 that were cut was just on the Activision Blizzard side of things. And from what I'm looking at, it looks like a lot of these other layoffs are happening on the King Games side of things. It's the
Candy Crush is not as popular. Huh?
Candy Crush, yeah. Well, it's still a mobile
Man.
app developer, and I don't know, maybe they're doing some other stuff for Blizzard or Hearthstone or God knows what. I
It's
don't
still the only mobile game I ever play.
Don't you all have a phone though? Like
drop kick you in the
the
balls.
new Diablo, it's gonna be great. You all have phones.
Oh,
that's not even funny.
So
thanks to that guy, my spirit animal is depressed.
Oh my god.
Depression.
No, but
Hey.
you know what? I just want to seriously go a little bit throwback and give props to the guy that went up to the mic and asked if it was April Fool's Day joke.
yeah.
Right?
That guy's a hero.
So
Or the guy after him that was like, "You're a bitch." Like,
Yeah.
we never saw him.
after looking into it a bit more, it looks like a lot of the correlation to what these layoffs were for was a combination of Blizzard wanting to continue their esports division and grow it more this year, and the losses that they suffered last year in their esports division due to COVID. There was no official
They
link
lose that many
between the
people?
two. Well, it wasn't so much that they lost that many people, it's that their esports division more or less died overnight.
Was
And-
it elderly?
Huh?
Was it mainly
was
elderly
dead.
programmers? Or
Yeah,
what?
yeah, I was gonna say it was dead long before that. It was in
Yeah.
hospice.
COVID wiped that.
You know,
out.
that's a shitty excuse. But before you continue on with their piss poor excuse, League of Legends, their esports community didn't die. They didn't have to lay anybody off. They just have quality esport game. Whether you like it or not, you can't deny that their esport formula fucking works.
Yeah.
It fucking works.
And they did it
So-
remotely.
Yeah, so let's not act like nobody was getting off the ground with remote esports over here. Y'all just don't have a game at the moment
They
that
don't want to commit
is
to resources
worth
either.
esport coverage. That's all it is. You suck at esports. Just say that.
Yeah. Well,
What about Warzone though? Isn't that a good esport? Like,
it Warzone didn't get to the
No,
popularity
it's
of
not.
Overwatch. Well, it never reached Overwatch League's level of like viewership.
No,
Right.
like
I
Call
kinda
of
feel like
Duty esports is a meme at best.
Chris will weigh in the best on this in terms of Warzone. I think he's probably spent the most time out of all of us.
Well,
Probably.
it's
It's a good game.
it's the
Yeah, oh,
difference
yeah.
between it being a very popular game and it being a popular esports game.
esport.
Yeah, right. Like Mario
wait.
is a good game.
What's the
Like
difference?
we're not going to esport it, you know.
Not yeah.
Like,
Even
is there a
Mario would have
difference-
a better esport community with games done
Well,
quick.
yeah.
Right now, yeah.
What is all right? So what is, for people who don't know, people like me, who are like old before their time, thanks to the internet. Um, what is the difference between just a multiplayer game and an esport?
So, I mean, I guess on paper, none. But what this is mainly addressing is the difference between the growth of, let's say, Overwatch or Warzone as an online game that people play a lot, both of them wildly successful, and the transition from just being an online game that a bunch of people play to an esport that people watch on Twitch or through other networks, to at one point on ESPN itself, to watch as a spectator sport.
Yeah,
Okay, so
the
that's the
difference-
biggest thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the biggest thing, right? The difference between them is that it's a successful multiplayer game that people play. But the next step of that is that when people aren't playing your game, are they watching professionals play your game? Are they trying to
Right.
imitate professionals? Are they
Okay.
buying merch because it's professionals?
Is
and
it
they-
an industry?
yeah, it's its own separate industry from the game itself. Honestly, it's
So
you know,
that's
are you
the
bringing in?
crucial, like, bottom line, that is what we're looking at.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's a very lucrative industry that's tied to that game, but it's really separate because I mean, if I don't know how many of y'all actually pay attention to like leagues, esport community.
It's always booming.
Not only is it
There were
almost
some crickets
always
in the
booming,
background that are apparently really
which is that is 100% okay. But even if you take a glance at it, it's where any game's esport community wants to be. It is the leader for it. It is what you hope your esport community gets to, because they're doing things that aren't even really it's tied to the game, sure, but it has really nothing to do with the game. Like their music is getting out now. Like they're taking artists from all over the world, like K-pop
shit.
artists, and mixing them with R&B artists, and mixing them with American pop artists, and making these super mega bands under the guise of these characters. And they're having these hollow concerts, right? These concerts with these real life stars, right, in their respective regions.
I adore the Pentakill album so much.
They
It's
fucking
so
love
fucking
Pentakill,
good.
or not just Pentakill, but KDA right now is the big thing. Right?
KDA's
They're
popping.
making music groups that
Hey,
have the
both,
figures
for
of
knowing.
these characters, and it's going nuts. It's legitimately
Really?
going fucking insane. Yes, absolutely.
I forgot the name of the other. It was like a R&B group that they made with Echo Yasuo, Senna.
Okay, I fucking hate you both. Now listen, listen to me here.
But the point of why we're bringing all this up is that
I hate you
There's a
both.
reason.
the point that all this is being brought up is that nothing has been made absolutely official, but these statements were released around the same time and in the same breath as the layoffs. And it was the fact that they're looking to expand their esports division again, rebuild it because of how poorly it did last year.
Yeah, that's what all businesses generally. Wait, what? Hold on, makes no fucking sense.
We're going to lay off a bunch of people, potentially because we lost money in an esports division, and
in hopes to compete,
in hopes to break zero.
We're becoming more lean.
I can't help but think that there's a joke in here somewhere about the fact that Blizzard has always had a problem balancing different things, like character classes and their fucking money.
Yeah.
Just the CEO looks like he's eating.
What's my checkbook look like? Ooh.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned the CEO, Brian, because last year,
fuck him.
Last year, Satan got a huge
Satan
sack of money after.
Huge tracks of land.
Well, Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision Blizzard, last year, this exact same thing happened when over 200 employees were laid off, exactly like this last year, and he got a large sack of money when the tax year was over as a bonus. Right? Well, guess what? What I found out today, he is now in the works to be set up for another $200 million bonus.
There's no way that the investors will allow that to happen without that being.
Oh yeah, their investors are already flipping out.
Yeah, they're already pissed, and they have every right to be. He's basically been plundering that company, and for the past few years, the things that they've acquired are things that they have acquired after the development boom happened. So they don't actually have anything that is currently coming up with anything truly new. They're
No,
just purchased other things, and those things are now, I think, running to the end of some of their lifespans.
Yeah.
well,
Like
they
you're seeing with
purchased
King.
other things. They're riding off of previous
Development, yeah.
development and success, right? Like WoW was always going to be a pillar for is always going to help bail them out if they needed to bail.
Well, look at
Right.
Heroes,
help
right?
bailing out. But let's look at their catalog real quick, because this is what they should have fucking
Correct.
done before laying off 50 people, right? Before laying them off. If you tell me you did this,
Almost 2% of their staff. It was more than
Yeah.
50 people.
Should have eaten a big bowl of dicks before they did that, because this is a terrible decision.
I don't disagree, but you know what? I'll
54
be
minutes.
fair. I'll look at this from a businessman's perspective. Okay, sometimes you have to make the difficult decision of laying people off. I get it. It's a pandemic. Morally, I don't agree with it. Let me stop.
Would you do
He's
it?
like, wait.
Morally, I don't agree with it. But if all signs point to, hey, we have a lot of capacity here and nowhere to put that capacity, and we're losing money because of that capacity. From a business standpoint, does it make sense to continue paying for that capacity when we have nothing to do with it? No, it does not. So you do need to get rid of that capacity. But that's not what they should have done here, because that wasn't their problem. Their problem is that their catalog doesn't facilitate. Guess
Growth.
what? No, it doesn't facilitate fucking esports.
Other
Their
than
catalog of games right now don't facilitate competition, you dumb fucks. Heroes of Storms. Hero of Storm
Hero of
They
the
got
Storm.
rid of it.
is a competitive game. Everyone
I like
levels up at the same time. What type of dumb shit is that? You're one game that has an ounce of potential esport value in it in Overwatch. You're not campaigning enough for,
No, not anymore.
and haven't been for years. You
Yeah.
just let that shit die because you thought, okay, people are going to want to play this competitively. It'll start on its own.
Well, I
No,
think
it takes work.
they thought they could do sequels. Like Bobby Kotick, for some reason, Activision has been in this, we can just do another sequel syndrome for a while. Like, it doesn't work that way with esports.
Why do a sequel with Overwatch? You don't
Well,
need
I know.
Overwatch 2. First off, Bobby
No.
Cottage, you
Just need new skin.
again, dumb
Cottage.
fuck.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not a sequel, and like all of this, like Overwatch 2 is going to have absolutely nothing to do with the online community of Overwatch.
No, it's money. You see where I'm going with this?
It's just money,
Yeah.
but like the thing.
Well, it's
that-
development capital that could have been applied somewhere else.
Well,
like, I don't know, fucking Overwatch esports division.
Well,
Right?
Overwatch 2 is going to be a lot of single player and co-op AI stuff that's going to
I'm
have
okay with
story
that,
related
actually.
things in it. And the online parts of the game that's already in existence, new characters, shit like that, that's going to be drip fed in as it has been for free. That's all fine. What the problem with Overwatch's esports division is that right off the bat, it became Overwatch League. It became this exorbitant thing, very overblown for what it was worth. And there were parts of it that were really nice.
You know what?
They paid a lot of money to make this a sport, and it succeeded for a while, and then just stopped.
Well, they stopped putting work. That's what I'm saying. They stopped putting 10 to 11 characters. It's not that it was too exuberant or anything like that. So I'm going to compare it again because I have to, because it's the strongest community in esports right now, really. League of Legends and their ownership put money, resources, manpower into that to continue to grow it. They made their own lore for the esports with some of these characters. They made, again, bands and skins that correlated with the band, and they generated revenue from fans that wanted to hear more about these these characters, these escapades, in turn, along with their favorite esports players. Okay, Overwatch starts their Overwatch League. and they're booming in the beginning, but they don't sink the same amount of time into it. They don't sink the same amount of resources into it, and it dies off. And then their answer to that is to get rid of however many people they got rid of to help boost it. They didn't need to do that. All they had to do in the beginning was take. I don't think that it's a bad idea that Overwatch 2 is going to happen, but it's the wrong move from a business perspective. You can get the same type of lore out in podcasts and like interactive stories like League does on their website. Throw people to your
So quick question though. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, StarCraft was more or less like the first esport, right?
For sure.
I would
first esport.
No,
yeah,
you know what? Doom. No.
It all depends on how you want to look at it. It all depends on how you want to look at it. If you want to look at like games that basically put
who's typing it? I'm curious.
What?
I thought I heard somebody's keyboard's like,
oh no.
It was the first. Keep going.
If you're looking for like a game that like kind of shook that landscape and finally got like either online gaming into the limelight and things like that, like yeah, you could say Quake and stuff like that. Quake would probably be like the underground thing that started it all. LAN parties and stuff like that started it all. But I think what we know as esports didn't come around until probably about 2009. And the only reason why I say 2009 is because that was the heyday of large things happening on the Xbox 360. You had the online communities of Call of Duty. You had Ultra. 100%. You had Ultra Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Or rather,
that was Black Ops.
The thing is, though, I'm talking like worldwide, though, because I know, like in Korea, they had cheerleaders for the whole StarCraft
Brood Wars and whatnot.
Yeah, they take that
as a big deal.
So,
StarCraft is probably the legitimate grandfather.
Okay.
Whereas Quake is the guy that says he did it before he was cool.
Right. So I like that. The hipster.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm kind of getting at is Blizzard, they have a lot of competitive style games: Hearthstone, Overwatch, Heroes of the Storm, Call of Duties, and I mean they could have probably done a Warcraft spin-off.
Rating in Warcraft, Arena.
Yeah, Hearthstone. Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, is it like a case of we did it first, so we're just going to keep doing it, or
it's a case of we're stuck in the old times?
Yeah, exactly.
They're not moving forward, and other companies are doing it bigger, better. They see the vision ahead in the future, and they're all like, "Hey, it'd be real cool
anymore
if we made a game where everybody levels at the same time." That's what the people want. And by the way, we put it on their phone.
I just think
you guys own phones, right?
Actually, similar to that same sentiment about the Diablo mobile thing, I think it's just a company that has just lost touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And I think everybody should continue saving and not turning in for that little cash deposit their phone every time they upgrade.
Oh,
From the time that asshole said that line until Diablo 4 comes out.
That's gonna live on in gaming history.
Yeah, and that year at QuakeCon, when that asshole comes up on stage, you should get pelted with like 1,000 Galaxies and iPhones all at once.
I honestly think not the CEOs or the shareholders should be required to sink in a certain amount of hours in each one of their catalogs.
That's
a year. I'm not kidding.
That's cruel.
That should be required as a shareholder.
That's cruel.
You should know how this game is playing, and it shouldn't be a shock when the dog shit you put out reaches you. Like you need to have a finger pulse on that shit.
Yep.
Because that's how you don't lose touch with what you're producing or what you're funding. You don't lose touch with what you're funding.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how Soderlund fucked up Anthem and most of EA, really. I mean, he took EA out at the knees, except for their, sports, which is the only thing that kept them afloat.
I like comparing like Soderlund and Kotick to Ray.
Oh God.
Well, I like comparing
Monty
them
Burns?
to Reggie Seaman. Or oh my god, what the? I can't say his name.
I don't
Okay.
know. You said Reggie
what-
Seaman head?
Reggie from fucking Nintendo of America.
Damn it, Reggie.
My body
Reggie
is ready,
Seaman
Reggie.
head?
Yeah, but
That is a great.
I like
character.
comparing them to Reggie because he actively plays the games, he understands his audience, but he also has an extreme business sense about him.
Yeah, like he was on the games. I don't know why, but you know, he was. He probably made out like a bandit whenever that whole shit went down in was it January?
Reggie Fils-Aimé. What are you talking about?
Reggie Seaman head.
Yeah, what about him?
What about Strauss Zelnick? Now that.
I barely
is-
knew her.
He's the guy who runs Take Two.
Fucking A.
And he sounds like the devil. His name is Strauss Zelnick. That sounds like he runs the Needful Things store in his off time. And I mean, he's kind of evil when you think about it. Look at GTA. There's a reason why we don't have GTA 6 yet.
True.
Because GTA Online is going to now hit its third fucking console platform. Why?
Maybe it's not fair to compare a COO to CEOs, but I don't know.
No, I don't. I mean, not really, but you can make a general comparison.
Chief Operating Officer.
No, not what is a COO? Who? Like, who are you talking about?
Reggie Fils-Aimé.
He was like, well, you stupid fuck.
Reggie Fils-Aimé was the COO for Nintendo of America.
Oh, I thought he was the CEO too. Okay.
No, he was
I
the
didn't realize that.
COO because he was the operator over that division of Nintendo. He didn't run Nintendo.
Also, he's not Japanese. And
what gave it away? Was it the of America part or
God.
wow. Nick is in full on fuck you mode now.
Shots. Oh, Jesus.
Well played, sir. Well played.
All right. Well, somebody needs bed. No. You would think I was a father. Anyway, let's move on to the final video.
Jesus Christ.
We'll do it quick. We have to. Really.
Then I'll
You just take us all the way through it. I'm going to shut up.